Hello, welcome to Biblio Files, the show where we take a few minutes each week to answer one question all about books. My name is Amanda, and with me is Christopher and Lucy. And this week we are talking about what is one of the weirdest or strangest books that you've ever read. So there's a lot involved with that. Christopher, what did you choose for us?
Well, I've read a lot of interesting and strange books. And when I think about a strange book, I might think of something that is non-linear, or maybe doesn't have the letter E in the whole book or something like that. But instead, what I chose was an author that we have quite a few books at the library, Glenn Baxter. And this is one of the books that I have. I don't think this particular title is one that the library has, but Glenn Baxter is a very absurdist illustrator, and he draws a lot of one-panel cartoons or comics that involve kind of turn-of-the-century explorers or inventions or cowboys. And as I said, it's often very absurdist and very, very dry. So here's one of his more sensible ones, I would say. I don't know if you can make this out or not. It says, we'll have no alliteration in this here bunkhouse. And it's someone getting shot. So that's, as I said, among his more sensible ones. Here's just one other one. This says, whoops, Robin was certainly impressed with the simulated teak finish. And he really, really makes me laugh. I used to send my father postcards of his artwork, and it made my father laugh too. So it's Glenn Baxter. He is kind of a strange taste that I enjoy. Lucy?
I love that. It kind of reminds me of the Far Side, but Gary Larson a little bit, like this one panel of just, wait, what? But the illustrations are also really interesting there.
Yeah.
So one of the weirdest books that I have read is a novel by Mona Awad, and the novel is called Bunny. And one thing that I was thinking about when I was thinking about weird books is how hard it is to talk about a weird book succinctly, because for me, part of what makes books strange is when there's all these little kind of pieces that seem out there and each one weirder than the other. And so how do you choose which elements to talk about? But basically, Bunny is a novel that it's sort of an academic satire. It's set at an MFA program in a school that's supposed to be like a Brown, but it's a writing program at a school called Warren University. And there's a character named Samantha, and she's kind of this outsider. She keeps to herself, and she is in a writing group. It's an all-female cohort, and they call themselves the Bunnies. And she sort of gets pulled in with them. And so it's, on one hand, it's making this commentary about, like, it kind of reminds me of Mean Girls or Heathers, or like these sort of this group of basic girls who are not very nice, who have these ways of doing things. They all call each other Bunny, and they all dress the same. But then when she gets into what they're doing to their writing group, they call it the Smut Salon. It gets really weird. And so this is where there's like actual bunnies, and then there are like men that have wronged them, and then there's some Frankenstein kind of stuff going on where like a bunny head ends up on a guy, and then there's like exploding bunnies, and there's and so it turns very, very funny, and then also like just sort of cringingly horrifying. But you can't stop reading because you're like, I don't know, is this real? Is this not real? What's going on? Is she going to be pulled deeper and deeper into this cohort? So it's sort of like and it has a kind of 80s, like a Heathers feel to it, but also Frankenstein. So it was really good. I couldn't put it down. I couldn't stop reading it because I was just like, what is going on? And it's so difficult to put into one little succinct package. I did read a review where they called it stunningly bizarre. And I was like, yes, that is what this book is. So that is Bunny by Mona Awad. And it really is. If you're looking for a strange book that you can't put down, but you're like really weirded out by, Bunny would be a good pick. So Amanda, what did you choose?
Wow, that sounds completely bizarre, but I feel like you you said you had a hard time or thought about describing a book that's weird, but I think you did a great job of describing that. That was,
oh, thank you.
Yeah, Heathers and Frankenstein. I'm in. So I also had trouble trying to think of a title and how to describe the title I chose. So the book I chose to go with for this week is Grasshopper Jungle by Andrew Smith. I've read a lot of Andrew Smith's books. He writes primarily young adult books, teen books, and then he has a few youth books out. This is one of his teen novels, but it is definitely a diversion from what he normally writes about and the way he writes it. It is completely bizarre and weird, and it's not for everybody. There's definitely some harsh language. There's definitely some harsh visuals. You've got the main character is 16-year-old Austin. It is set in Iowa. He's sort of confused about his sexuality. He's very driven by his raging hormones. He's got a best friend and a love interest. And he and his best friend have to save the world from 6-foot-tall praying mantises that want to devour all humans. It is so bizarre and weird. Just the way it was written, the sentences, you read them, you're like, wait, did I just read that? Is that a real sentence? Did I just read those words put together that way? And I was reading it. So the book is from 2014. And when I was reading it in a house with somebody else. And I would just have to say, hey, let me read you this sentence. And I would just read it out loud to them. It's so bizarre. It's so strange. But also it's clever and creative and completely different than anything I've read. And having read other titles by this author, I wasn't expecting that much of a like in your face, bizarre, just crazy fest. And it did all of those things. The book also won a Prince Honor Award in 2015. I kind of forgot about that until I was looking up the notes today. I was like, oh yeah, I actually won a Prince Honor. Just because it's so bizarre and so different. It's also interspersed with he and his friends trying to save the world from these reproducing praying mantises who want to devour humans. It's interspersed with Austin telling you about his Polish family history. So there's a lot going on in the book, but it's just sort of like smack in your face. And I read it years ago, and I don't remember the exact plot of everything I read. I just remember, again, that feeling that sticks with you of just like, what am I reading? This is real. Wait, is this an Andrew Smith book? Okay, yeah, it is. So that's what I've got, Grasshopper Jungle. And it actually has a sequel. The sequel is called Exile from Eden, the mind-bending sequel to Grasshopper Jungle. I don't know if I'm going to read it or not. I haven't decided. I just discovered it a couple weeks ago, so we'll see if I get to go there. So if you do choose to read this, again, there's a lot of language and like crazy things happening. So think about that before you choose it. But Grasshopper Jungle by Andrew Smith is the choice.
I mean, I've seen that around, and I remember it winning the Prince Honor, but it just actually sounds like something I would really want to read. I think that's the thing about strange books. And if someone tells you it's strange but it's good, there's something so compelling because it's that very thing you said, like, is this really what I'm reading right now? So
it's got a little bit of pieces that kind of remind you of like Vonnegut or Kafka, where there's insects and just strangeness happening. So any final thoughts for weird or strange books? Well, that's this week's episode of Biblio Files. Thank you so much for tuning in to AADL TV. If you have a book that's weird or strange that you want to share, please click the link below. It'll take you to our website and you can drop a comment. We love getting comments to hear what you think about the books we're picking and also recommending us some other books. The next time we meet, we will be talking about one of our favorite sci-fi books. So that should be a good chat. That's it for us this week. Take care. We'll see you next time.